Hi, everybody. It's Deborah from PeopleLovingAnimals.com. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching my video today. Today's video is called Getting Help Paying for Vet Bills. I'm going to share with you some of my own personal experiences regarding some of the medical conditions and the resulting vet bills that happened for me with my pets over the years. And I would also like to offer you some real help here on how to get help on budgeting for your vet bills, getting them paid for, and also we're going to talk a little bit about pet health insurance and whether or not that might be something that would help you. So again, thanks so much for tuning in and watching my video today. Let's go ahead and start the video. If you have not been here before, my name is Deborah. I do run a website called PeopleLovingAnimals.com, and it's a website all about helping, supporting, and caring for dogs and cats. We do a lot of articles and videos and tutorials and all kinds of things about pet health, pet care, training for dogs and cats, all kinds of things. So if you are already a subscriber to this channel, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a subscriber. And if you're not, I would love it if you would subscribe. And if today's video does give you any help at all, I would appreciate it if you would give it a like. It really helps YouTubers when you do that. Now, we are on the article on PeopleLovingAnimals.com called Getting Help with Vet Bills, Ways to Pay for What Your Pet Needs. Now, as I said, I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things that I have dealt with in my past. Now, I had, for example, the last dog that I had was a Boston Terrier named Cagney, and Cagney ended up dying of congestive heart failure over a period of about 2 years. Well, if you know anything about that, it's a very expensive disease. The testing for it is expensive. You have to have ultrasounds, you have to have blood work regularly. The medication for it is super expensive, and usually it's not just the heart medication. They also have to be on a water pill and all these other sorts of things. It was very expensive, and it happened over a period of about 2 years. The same Boston Terrier, also a few years earlier, blew out his ACL, which means he blew out his knee, and that was a pretty expensive proposition as well. His care for that. Now, before that, I had a wiener dog named Taz. She's the little cutie in this picture right here. I decided to use this picture kind of as my kind of a logo for PeopleLovingAnimals.com when I opened the website back in 2015, because every week when I would vacuum, Tazzy would jump up in this chair with her toys, and she would nervously protect her toys. And I always used to say to her, how many times have I sucked up one of your toys in the vacuum cleaner? But anyway, this is Tazzy, and as you can see, her face is all gray. Now, Tazzy lived to be about 14 years old. I got her. I didn't have her the whole 14 years. I had her about 6.5 years. I had her for the last 6.5 years of her life. And if you've been here before, you might have heard me tell you that she is my $20,000 wiener dog. I spent more than $20,000 in vet bills for that dog over a period of about 6.5 years. Now, you can imagine, anyway, let me just tell you about it. Taz had several things that happened. When I first got her, her mouth was full of infected and abscessed teeth. She ended up having 3 dental surgeries, each of which cost me about $1,000. She had back problems. One time, Taz fell on the ice, threw out her back, and it cost me $1,000. I took her to the vet. You know, they had to do x-rays. The vet visit itself, she was sent home with muscle relaxers and pain relievers, and then a follow-up visit, and the whole thing cost me $1,000. Taz also had Cushing's disease for about half of the time that I had her. Cushing's disease is a very expensive disease. The medication for her, I believe it was around $95 per month. And also, when they have Cushing's disease, there's blood work that needs to be done, and the law requires your veterinarian to do this blood work. I think it's every 3 to 6 months. I want to say it's every 3 months, and the blood work costs about $300, but it's mandatory in order for your dog to continue to be on the $95 a month medication that they're taking for their Cushing's disease. So, as I said, it was a very expensive disease. What else did little Tazzy have? Tazzy had a lot of allergies. She had a lot of bronchial issues. She had to have medication. Bronchial dilators, I think it's called, was the medication. She had to take Benadryl every summer. She had to see the vet regularly for that. She also was starting to have a collapsed trachea. the list goes on and on. The poor little dear, she had a lot of health problems. Now, luckily, and I say it was through the grace of God, I was able to pay for those things. Now, granted, I was putting it on credit cards. I was creating debt for myself that you can imagine took several years to pay off. But I was very thankful that I was able to provide that medical care for Taz. And as bad as all this sounds, she did have a very nice life. She was very active. She and I walked and walked and walked all over the place. We went for walks every day. She's been to every park in 3 counties near where I live. She was a joyful dog. At one point, we had a friend who had a boat, and we were out on the boat all the time, and she had her ears flapping in the wind. She really enjoyed her life, and she had a fantastic life. So, but she had a lot of health issues, and it cost me over $20,000. Now I also had for example, I had a cat who lived 20 years. If you've been here before, you've heard me talk about her. And right about the time, I believe she was about 15 years old, she had a bladder stone, and that whole ordeal cost me $1,000. She had a bladder stone. You have to go for the vet visits. They have to do x-rays and things to try to find out what's happening. Then she had to have surgery, obviously, to remove the bladder stone. I remember the surgery was $700. They've got to have blood work, just like a person. You've got to have blood work. They have to test your kidneys and your liver before they can put you under. You have to pay for the anesthesia. You have to pay for the pain relievers and the antibiotics that they're sent home with, and you have to pay for the follow-up visit, just like with people. And the whole ordeal cost me $1,000 because the cat developed a bladder stone. She ended up dying at the age of 20. The last 6 months or a year of her life, she ended up dying of renal failure. And you can imagine the expenses associated with diagnosing that and treating that. I had to give her fluids at home every week for about the last 6 months of her life, and that was an expensive ordeal. Uh, the other thing, her brother, who was a tomcat named Myron, he lived for 14 years, and he ultimately ended up dying of a kidney disease. And again, you can imagine the blood work, the diagnosis, the treatment, trying to save him. And you know what? I hate to sound crude, but it cost me $300 to have that cat cremated. Do you know what I mean? Even cremation is expensive. So I'm just trying to say, I hear you. I've been there. I know what it means. I know what it means to be standing there at that counter at the vet's office and getting the quote for what it is, and you're trying to figure out, do I pay my rent this month or do I pay my vet bills? Especially if you have kids, it's a whole nother thing that you need to, consider whether you're going to put out money out of your savings or if you're going to put money on a credit card. That, what if your child has a problem the very next month and you don't have the money because you spent it on the dog? Do you know what I mean? I get it. I totally get it. So I hope that in today's video, I'm able to give you some advice and some help and some guidance that's going to help you with the whole issue of vet bills. Okay. So again, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. So we are on my website, peoplelovinganimals.com. We're using this article called Getting Help with Vet Bills, Ways to Pay for What Your Pet Needs. We're going to use this for our video today. I'm going to give you a link to this article in the description box of this video, and then anything that we talk about in the article, I'll give you those links as well. I'm going to refer you to more articles and videos and all kinds of things that hopefully are going to even give you more help. And everything that we do here will be linked in the description box, but you are welcome to go to the link I'm giving you and go to this article, read it in its entirety if you wish to, and click on all the bells and whistles in it if you would like to. Now, like I said, I have had a lot of medical expenses over the years. Now, first thing I want to tell you about is Care Credit. If you don't already know about them, I found out about Care Credit just a few years ago. I don't know how long they've existed. All I know is I wish I had it 20 years ago. It would have saved me a lot of money, and it would have helped me a lot. But I'm going to give you a link for carecredit.com. I'm not associated or affiliated with them in any way. I don't get any kind of sponsorship or anything, but they are a credit card specifically for medical expenses, which you can use for yourself as well. Like if you go to your pharmacy to get prescriptions, you can use your Care Credit card for that as well. I think your local pharmacy has to accept it, but it's been around a while, so I think most pharmacies probably would. But I know that most vets' offices do, and you can use this to pay for medical expenses for your pet. The biggest thing about this is if you have a veterinary expense that is over $200, Care Credit will give you 6 months to pay for it interest free. That's the biggest reason that I tell people about Care Credit for vet bills for their pet. It's wonderful. Now you can charge anything. It doesn't have to be $200. You can charge your pet's annual shots if you take them into, for whatever vet bill you're using or that you're paying. But if it's $200 or more, they'll finance it for you over 6 months and you don't have to pay any interest. So I think that's the greatest thing. Now, when I first applied for my Care Credit card, they gave me a $300 credit limit to begin with. And then almost immediately, I think it was within about 6 months, they increased my credit limit to $3,500. And I was really, really, happy about that because $3,500 is a big chunk of money. And I thought, if my pet has a problem, an accident, a sudden illness, if they have to have surgery, it's really nice to have this $3,500 to be able to charge if I have to, and then I can make monthly payments. And because it's well over $200, they're going to finance that for me for 6 months. I won't even pay any interest on that. So that was the way it worked for me. So what I suggest is that you go to the link I give you, carecredit.com, go ahead and apply for it. They may start you out with a, just a low $300 credit limit. And then I would suggest that you use that card the very next time you go to the vet's office, even if it's not an emergency, even if you don't, if you have the money to pay for it, just use it and then pay the bill, okay? So that you're establishing credit with them right away so that they will increase your credit limit right away so that you have that credit available should anything happen, okay? So that's my first recommendation, is to go ahead and get Care Credit. And the other thing too is, even if it's not like an unexpected, oh no, the dog has surgery or whatever, even if it's not that, I think having the Care Credit card is just a nice way to keep your pet's medical expenses separate from your own personal expenses, separate from your own personal Visa or MasterCard. Do you know what I mean? It's just a nice way to budget. It's like, okay, it's almost time for, your dog to get their annual shots. You know how much it's going to be. You put it on the Care Credit card. You have a little time to pay for it. You can budget it. I just think it's a good way to just manage those expenses and make it a little bit easier to budget for those sort of expenses. So that's my first recommendation. My second recommendation, if you didn't already guess that I would say this, is pet insurance. Should you get pet insurance? Yes. Yes, you should. I will give you in this article and also in the description box a couple of different articles. We'll talk about them in a minute. I'm going to give you a video about this. I also just wrote a new article called Pet Health Insurance, Everything You Need to Know. I'm going to give you the link for that. So I'm going to give you all kinds of information so that you're going to be able to decide for yourself whether you should get health insurance. You're going to be able to find out everything you need to know about it so that you can make a good decision. I'm going to give you a couple recommendations here. I've already done the shopping. I've already done the comparisons, and so I can give you a couple of good recommendations here. But like I said, my $20,000 wiener dog, if I would have had pet insurance for her, now pet insurance works the same as people insurance. If it's more expensive if the dog is older, or the dog or the cat, if your pet is older, and also just like with people insurance, they generally won't cover a pre-existing illness. So, if your dog is diagnosed with cancer, you may not be able to rush out and get pet insurance because it would be considered a pre-existing illness. So for that reason, I suggest that you get health insurance for your pet as early as you can, because the younger they are, and then before they get any diagnosis for any sort of health condition, the cheaper your rates are going to be for that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in this video. Now, one of the reasons, obviously, that people should get pet health insurance is to avoid like some of the expenses that I told you about, especially if an expensive illness, if your dog has an accident, if your pet is hit by a car, all these sorts of things. I mean, it can really blow you away financially. Also, as I say in the article, most people underestimate the cost of veterinary care. Most people, for example, would estimate the price of removing a golf ball from a dog's stomach to be around $300, when in actuality it's going to be closer to $1,500. Not that long ago, just a few months ago, I was in the vet's office and I was in the waiting room, and there was a family in the waiting room, and they were waiting for their little dog to come out of surgery. And the dog was a Jack Russell Terrier. And if you don't know what that is, that TV show Frasier, the little dog Eddie, Eddie is a Jack Russell Terrier. So their little Jack Russell Terrier was having surgery. Now, I didn't know what had happened to the dog or anything. I didn't ask. I just gathered by waiting with them in the waiting room that the dog was in surgery and they were waiting. Well, a little while later, the vet comes out and she's holding something in her hand, and it was an eraser. It was a full size eraser, and this little Jack Russell had swallowed it and had to have surgery to have that eraser removed. I don't know what the bill was, but I'm guessing it was $1,000 to $1,500 when it was all said and done. Um, again, they would have had to have this diagnosed. They would have had to have the x-ray. They would have had to pay the anesthesia, pay for the surgery itself. The dog would have been sent home with pain relievers, with antibiotics. There would have been a follow-up visit. So I'm sure that dog eating that eraser was a pretty expensive thing. So, it doesn't have to be an elderly animal. You don't want to say, oh, my dog is young and healthy, I'm not going to worry about health insurance till he's older. These things can happen. These things can happen to young dogs as well. Also, things like cancer. The cost of treating cancer in a dog, from diagnosis to surgery to treatment to follow-up, can cost in the range of $8,000. It's just like with people, all the things, think about how much we have to pay for an x-ray or for medication or for doctor's visits or anything. It really does add up for pets, just the same as it does for people. Just an unexplained limping. My little dachshund fell on the ice. It cost me $1,000 by the time I paid for the x-ray and the doctor visit and the muscle relaxers and the pain relievers. It cost me $1,000. So even a young dog can have a mishap of some sort, or a young cat. Cats can eat things. So anyway, most people do underestimate what the cost could be for their vet bills. Again, is pet insurance worth it? Yes, it is. I'm going to give you the link to two different articles. Is pet insurance worth it for dogs? Is pet insurance worth it for cats? I'm also going to give you the article that I just wrote recently, everything that you need to know about health insurance. And I'm also going to recommend a couple here. For the reasons that we've talked about, yes, it is worth it. It most certainly is. And my recommendation is, the younger your pet, the better. Go ahead and get the pet insurance. Some pet insurance policies can start as low as $10. It may not $10 a month. It may not be as expensive as you think. And I'm going to give you the links here to two different companies that I recommend. And you can get a free quote, based on your dog's breed, their age, your cat, their age, and you'll answer medical questions and so forth, just like you would for a person, and you can get a free quote. Now, I'm going to give you my recommendations. I have two. One is Pet Plan. I'm going to give you a link to them. I'm going to give you a link to get a free quote from them. I'm also going to give you a link to my full review of them. And in this article, you can watch a video if you'd like, all about Pet Plan, and read the review and get a quote. The second one that I recommend is Healthy Pets. Nothing against Pet Plan, but if I had to choose between the two, I would choose Healthy Paws, or not Healthy Pets. They're called Healthy Paws. I said it incorrectly. Again, nothing against Pet Plan, but just the overall reviews of them and their customer service and all kinds of things. Either one is going to be a good company, though. So check with both and see what kind of policies and prices you're able to get. In this article, again, I'm going to give you a link to get a free quote from them. I'm going to give you a link to my full review of Healthy Paws. And I'm also, if you click into this article, you can watch this video. It is an interview with the owner and founder of Healthy Paws. And it's a pretty nice interview. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you hear some things from this guy. It's quite a company. I do highly recommend them. So those are the two that I would recommend. And like I said, now I'm going to give you a lot of information. Like I said, I'm going to give you the articles that I've written all about health insurance and everything that you have to know. But just just as kind of a basic overview, health insurance for pets pretty much works the same way as it does for people. How much you pay each month depends on what kind of policy you have, okay? If you have a high deductible and you pay a high amount in co-pays, you're going to pay less each month for your premium. If you don't want a high deductible, or if you don't want to pay a lot for your co-pays for your doctor visits and for your prescriptions and all that, then you can pay a higher monthly premium. And that's just your own personal decision when you're thinking of everything that you need to pay for. Would you rather have to come up with a larger amount of money if something happens and pay a low amount for the premium each month? Or would you rather pay a little bit more for the premium each month so that more is covered if something does happen? That's basically the gist of it. And it's the same for health insurance for people as it is for pets. So that's basically how it is. But in the article, like I said, I'm giving you a detailed article in the description box. It's called Health Insurance for Pets, Everything You Need to Know. It talks about pricing, how to decide what policy to get, and everything else. So I'm giving you all that information in the description box. So I highly recommend in getting help for paying with vet bills, get pet health insurance. Okay, check into it, get a quote, because it could be cheaper than you think. Okay, another thing that I wanted to mention in today's video is an organization called Hope Before Heaven. I'm going to give you the link to them. I'm also going to take you right to their website right now. You may not know about this place. This is an organization that basically runs on donations, and what they do is they create via donations funding for people who are in the position where their pet is going to have to be euthanized because they can't pay the vet bill. Okay, it is such a sad state of affairs. My longtime veterinarian mentioned to me once that he refers to this as economic euthanasia. And it's where if the dog needs, if the pet needs surgery or cancer treatment or medication for an illness or something, and the treatment is available and the dog or the pet does not have to die from it, but they end up having to be put down anyway because it's an illness they can't live with, and the family does not have the money to pay for the treatment. And it's just, to me, that is just the saddest concept. And like I said, with all the thousands of dollars that I spent on my pets over the years, I say, by the grace of God, I'm so thankful that I was able to come up with the money to provide that medical care, because I personally cannot imagine what it must feel like to have to make that decision where your pet can be saved, but you have to put them down because you don't have the money to pay the bill. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be overly dramatic about it, but it is a reality. So there's this organization called Hope Before Heaven. I don't know what their process is. I'm assuming that you go to their website and you either send them an email, or maybe you fill out a form, you apply for this help, or you can call them. But I'm going to give you the link. And also, if you are in a position to do so, I would really love it if you would make a donation to them, even if it's only $5. Any amount helps. Like I said, they are raising money so that they can provide funding so that an animal who will be able to survive can survive and live a nice, long, happy life, because they're able to cover the vet bill for that animal to get the care that he needs. And also, I'd appreciate it if you would share them with your friends and family who have pets. Okay, so those are my recommendations. Get a Care Credit credit card, because it's just a great way to budget your pet expenses. And like I said, one of the biggest things about them is, number one, if you can establish good credit with them and get a nice big credit line, then you have that money available there. You have that credit that you can charge if you have to, and then make monthly payments. And the biggest plus with them is if it's over $200, you don't have to pay any interest for 6 months. That's fantastic. Also, I strongly recommend health insurance. It's going to be a really good peace of mind for you and for your finances, knowing that if anything serious and expensive happens with your animal, you are going to be able to cover it for your pet, and it's not going to destroy you financially because you have pet health insurance. And then obviously the third recommendation is, if it gets to that point, there is this organization called Hope Before Heaven. I do donate to animal charities, and Hope Before Heaven is one of the animal charities that I donate to. If you've been here before, you know that I am an affiliate for many things that I talk about on my website and on my YouTube channel. Not everything, but some things I am an affiliate for, which means that I get a small commission if you purchase that product or service through me. For example, in this particular video, I am not an affiliate of any sort for Hope Before Heaven. I'm not an affiliate of any sort for Care Credit, but I am an affiliate for the two pet insurance companies who I recommend on my website. So if you purchase the health insurance through the links that I give you, I will get a small commission. And then I donate 10% of those commissions to animal charities. If you go to the homepage of my website, peoplelovinganimals.com, you'll see a list of the animal charities that I donate to, and Hope Before Heaven is one of them. So if you do decide to get pet insurance, I would appreciate it if you would use my links, and I will donate 10% of my commission to animal charities. And also for that reason, I'm asking you to please share this video, this YouTube channel, and my website with your friends and family who are animal lovers, who have a dog or a cat. First of all, there's tons and tons of just really valuable information on the website. I'm starting to do more and more videos. I'm trying to do at least one video a week. Sometimes I do 2 videos a week, and hopefully you would consider it valuable information that really helps people and really helps animals. And like I say, I give 10% of all the commissions that I earn to animal charities. So I really would appreciate it if you would share it with your family and friends. Now, a couple more things just before we go. In the description box of this video, I'm going to give you a link to this article on the website, peoplelovinganimals.com. I'm going to give you a link to sign up for the Care Credit credit card. I'm going to give you the links to my reviews of the 2 health insurance companies that I recommended to you today, that you'll be able to read the review. You'll be able to get a free quote. What else? And I'm also going to give you the link for Hope Before Heaven. So I would love it if you would visit them. I'm also going to give you links to subscribe to either my dog lovers email list or my cat lovers email list. You can subscribe to both if you want to. If you subscribe, then about once a week or so, you'll get an email from People Loving Animals, and it'll be all about cats or dogs, depending on which email list you're on. And it'll be either an article or a blog post or a video or a product review, all about dogs and cats. So hopefully you're going to find that to be valuable, and I would love to have you on board as a subscriber to my email list and also to this YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. Also, if this has given you any help, I would appreciate it if you would give it a like. It does really help YouTubers when you do that. So I hope that this has helped you. Please feel free to comment in this video or any video if you have any questions, if you have anything to add that you think might be helpful to people on this topic, or if there's some sort of issue you're having with your pet that you would like help from me about. If I can provide the information for you, I will. Okay, I'm here to help. So again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Deborah, and my website is peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks again. Bye-bye.